Very good morning to all our listeners, and today, during the 11th hour, we have with us an inspiring personality who happens to be the Maxon's House Group General Manager Projects and Marketing, Dr Ali Ahlam Nawaz, who also happens to be an award winner in year 2017 as an outstanding personality in Sri Lanka. Currently being an MBA faculty lecturer, along with a past career to boast about, being engaged in numerous challenging industries in Sri Lanka, of course, heading such sectors. During this segment, 11th hour, we warmly welcome you, Dr. Nawaz, for this discussion.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. Thank you.
Furthermore, talking on the lines on motivation and education. Since it's a combination, motivation is an art that can assist a student's concentration, providing the necessary energy towards a future goal. How could you elaborate towards education, which has a variety of effects on these lines, Dr. Nawaz?
Well, in fact, the motivation factor itself in education can have a serious, dramatic an impact on students. So, as you said, that it can directly impact on the performance and also in the results, and therefore parents and also the teachers who are willing to help their children for them to do better in their studies and also in their school. So better all of them take a very concentration and make them well aware of these factors, how it can impact the motivation factors.
So you mean to say it works as a team? It's not only the student as a candidate alone, but the influence of the parents as
and
well.
The teachers in the both way. And also, when it's come to education, the motivation also can have the variety, as you said, that the behavior, as you also mentioned, the preferences.
The preferences.
Yes. Preferences that will impact to the results. So motivations, preferences will impact to the results. So then, now say instance, you are motivated today to do this program.
True.
So what motivated for you to do this program?
What initiated
to do this program, to bring a personality to come and do this, knowledge sharing. And as somebody to do something every day, you are motivated. Likewise, the students, for them to get motivated in education, certain things happen. So the teachers also...
It triggers them.
It triggers them. The teachers also have to understand, and the parents also have to understand why these children have to get motivated. It works for this like a triangle.
Like the Bermuda Triangle. It's like everybody has a portion to share.
Now see... Now we are thinking that no, it is only the kids responsible. It's them to study.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me being as a lecturer for past 15 years, we see that the same kids, they've been grown up, they started to work and they're working, and after working hours, they're coming to classes, they're spending long hours in education. They're doing that. So we all do that. Is that every day we say it's a school day for us, and we are on the process. The education is our gaining knowledge. So what motivated us to go there? So in this triangle, the teacher, children, and the parents. So all of them have to understand what this motivation and their preferences and how that is driven to this results. For instance, when we are talking about how this can be benefited. Now the kids' point of view, what they will ask is every time, what's the demand is, what's in it for me?
What would I get at the end?
What do I get? Now, if I do that, they said, okay, if I do this, what do I get?
Yeah, true enough, because they want to know what is my end result.
What my end results? No, children, right? So even as an employee, when you are working with them, so end of the month, if I deliver this, boss, what do I get this? So job is like 9 to 5. So if I do this, what do I get apart from this? There's the tendency that the human fact, so you get what motivated for.
True, the human mind is such that you always want to know.
Yeah, there's a book called The God is the Best Salesman.
One of the good reads.
The God is the best salesman. So his incentive plans are much better.
Moving on to the second question.
The answer is how it get motivated is, for instance, now see, children get help. How if any children who are listening this, or the parents who are listening this, how the children get attention if they get motivated, that they during that shorter period, if they get motivated during the class period for the education purposes, they get more tension oriented. That's very important in life. That can be learned through the education. So you are going to class, you are going to listen to this lecturer for next half an hour, next 45 minutes. If you are motivated towards the education, now your preferred choice to listen to this lecturer. So you are motivated just because of this I am listening. So your listening capability, then you're engaged. So what you do, you are within the short period, your listening capability, you're improving your listening capability. And then you're moving toward to that within that shorter period, you're becoming a more task-oriented person. These are the soft skills that been expected from a children who is growing up tomorrow is going to take up a different roles in the society, in the organization. So you are becoming, in the short period, listening capabilities, and from there you are becoming a task-oriented, and also you are improving your listening capability, you are task-oriented. In the meantime, your distractions. Now,
fully focused.
Fully focused. Now, they say in the research that nobody cannot focus more than 9 minutes on a discussion.
True. Your attention goes haywire.
That's what they're talking about. Now, earlier, it few years ago, 3 years ago, it was said 20 minutes. Now they're talking 9 minutes.
It has drastically dropped.
Drastically.
Any particular reason for that?
Yeah, because of the technologies. That people are becoming more multitasking. Your phone, your technologies, a number of things, the devices. So you cannot keep them engaged. I recall that there was a periods, those days you get double periods on particular subjects.
Yes.
Now there's no more.
It's taken off.
Why? You cannot keep them engaged. So when you're motivated in particular subject, the children become more on task oriented. You started to concentrate, less distractions, and their focus and those kind of abilities they tend to develop. So mostly important, this motivation, more urge them to perform on their studies that put into action.
What you learn into action, practical learning.
So, definitely you can make them, force them to study, but end of the day, you have to make them sit and listen to someone. That lot of soft skills plays there. That's the transformational skills comes in place. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, of course, and it was very well elaborated. And moving on to the second question, seeking the right career and depending on one's strengths is a well thought out decision that requires prior analysis. Your valuable inputs on that, please.
Yeah, so basically it's all about keeping yourself self-knowing. The more you know yourself, the more you better in what you choose. And self-analysis, when you're talking about then also is what you're asking is linking with your...
Correct.
The moment when you started to more focus and when you're coming to that, you understand, right? Children, we get to know when we ask what do you want to become like that kid?
True. That's one of the questions everybody keeps asking.
So when I was a kid, just at the age of 5, I thought I can become an engineer. Then suddenly at the age of 8, I said, I want to become a pilot.
Correct.
And suddenly at the age of 12, I think I can become an engineer,
an astronaut,
engineer in specific segment, aeronautical engineer. Then at the age of 15, when an engineer in this electronic, then suddenly gem merchant.
It has changed
rapidly. Then we suddenly now I need a job. At the age of 17, no, I need a job. Whatever the job, I take it up. Then you get into a job. The job I got for myself, internal auditing, kind of audits. I started to work. The pay was good, but it's not me.
Just got attracted for the pay.
I wanted a job, but that's not for me. Then I realized my strengths were different. Then I started to just self-understand myself that, analyzing, you just said that, then is a self-confused and you got to know. Then a lot of people that think that sometimes we say that because I can talk very well, because I'm good with people, we think that I'm a marketing person.
People assume and presume.
We assume and presume that like that. Because I'm good in mathematics, when I was small, they said that I was good in maths. They said, you can do engineering. We think like that. You're good in science, they direct them to, you better become a doctor, or you've already decided to go into that. No, it changes over the period of time.
True.
So what I would suggest, you first of all set a specific goals.
You have to self-evaluate yourself. That is exactly what you're trying to say, doctor.
So you fall into your fundamentals until you finish your curriculum, till you finish your whatever you're supposed to do at this stage. You follow and build your basic transferable skills. That's where your 3 things work: knowledge, skills, and attitudes. These things you have to fall in. Let's not jump and fix that this is what I want to become. No, the time will decide certain. Once you build your transferable skills, that will become better. Now see, we meet a lot of this millennial generation, what we speaking about, how they struggle sometimes at the workplace.
They do. It's a known fact.
There are a lot of good things. They are very selfless. They are very straightforward, very dedicated, good, flexible, honest. There are a lot of good things we can talk about. In the meantime, the other side, when it's come to a presenting argument, just they close doors. Now say, I'm upset with you. I unfriend you in my Facebook because I'm upset.
Not in
I
terms.
block you on my WhatsApp.
Just like
because I'm upset with you. I don't want to talk.
Basically, you shut all communication
Shut
modes.
all my communication. It's presenting an argument.
True.
It's a boardroom discussions. These are the people who are coming tomorrow to work. These are the people who are coming tomorrow for leaderships. These are the people who are coming to interact with people.
They're going to manage.
So these transferable skills to be presented, they should be learned. So this school, this practices actually, that are they learning there? We don't know.
That's a question.
That's a question. So set your goals. That's come from the next step. Then you understand your goals. Then if you're a student, the number one, I'm saying, okay, assuming now you're a student, say no to things. If you're a student.
I mean, if you feel
in other words, I'm saying, know your priorities. Now you know your priorities. What's your priority now? It's to study. Then that's your priority. Anything else can become a priority if you're a student.
Shut all your other avenues. This is your priority.
If you're a student, studies is your priority. Nothing else can become your priority other than your studies.
No other distraction.
It cannot be. That's it. Learn to say no. That applies to everyone. Even to you, even to me. The moment, that's a good leadership. Tony Blair once said, they asked, how do you define a leadership? How do you define a leadership? He said in a forum, if you're a leader, the moment the art of saying no, you don't say just no, learn to say,
There's a way of saying it. There's a way of expressing it.
The art of saying, learn to say no, you are a leader. You don't say no to everything. I mean,
True.
Students, if you are a student, your priority is studies. You cannot have a priority other than studies. So you have to close all your rest of the things other than studies. So
Just block it.
Just block it. That's your first thing. The second thing, bring the happiness. Just because you are blocking other thing, you can't be unhappy.
That's true.
Be happy. Bring your happiness through because you are a student, and bring your happiness through your way of living and with your family, your parents and your friends, exercising, or your sports, extracurricular, and whatever you do in that spectrum of life.
True.
So you bring your happiness, and that happiness also you prioritize your happiness.
So there is a prioritization over there as well.
There's that because I want to be happy. It's not being party. It's not that being
outgoing 24/7.
So let me say in the happiness. Let me be very specific about that. Prioritize your happiness. So priority comes every time. Your priority comes in there. So these children tomorrow, they are coming into the leaderships. They are taking up our roles. Today you are here, I am here. Down the line, another 5 years later, 10 years later, somebody going to come and take these roles here. They're going to take these positions. They're going to take up this strategic planning, strategic leaderships. So are they ready? So what kind of a discipline, what kind of a preferences, what kind of a leaderships they're going to take, adapt into that, how they're going to come and sit and do. So prioritizing. So when you say that prioritizing, prioritize your happiness. How your happiness is going to go through. Just because I'm a student, I'm prioritizing my studies, so I cannot be depressed.
That's true.
So prioritizing your happiness.
So it's basically balancing all these tasks and prioritizing your goal end of the day.
End of the day. And be resilient and more time to more recover and listen and more read. So this is how they can, and it's more self-analyzing. It's end of the day, whatever said and done, they know what they really want to do.
They're aware.
They're aware of it.
Very interesting. Moving on to my very last question because of the time factor. Certain students tend to kind of give up or perform poorly while being engaged in a selected discipline. Is this a common occurrence, Doctor? If so, what sort of strategies should a student adapt to battle against or rather overcome this situation?
This is very simple and very straightforward. These kind of answers we can't have, it's like this.
A specified answer.
Specified answer, there is no magic. In other words, there is no magic.
There is no tricks, nothing.
There is no tricks. You have to wake up. Simply you have to open your eyes. In other words, if you are staying straight away, attending your class regularly. Without attending your class.
So the failure begins there.
Failure begins there. So we know, I am, being a corporate sector, I'm a visiting lecturer. As I said that state university, private universities, I have been seen in my class, my students, when I'm being a student, people who are learning in my classes are even, say, 55-year-old.
True.
In high profiles who are in MBAs and a higher degree.
Maybe already in a distinguished position.
Yes. But I see the regularity, the discipline they have set in their self-discipline, but attending level. Then still I ask them, how do you do this? That is it's practice. The practice, but still they hold their very higher positions in the organizations, high profiles in the country.
In the corporate world as well.
Yes. What the magic behind there is the fundamentals, the basics. Market changes, whole environment changes, but basics cannot change.
That has to be fully cemented.
Fully cemented. You cannot. This is the answer. If you ask me 100 years later,
it would be the same response.
I believe in that way. So attending your classes regularly, it's very essential. And be prepared for your class. Be prepared for your class. You
prior preparation.
Your prior preparation. If there's any homework and you can't just wake up and you cannot look for your books and your homework
notes
stuff like that.
True.
80% of your children is like that today.
True.
So preparation.
They suddenly wake up and they realize they have certain submissions, assignments, and things like that. Pre-planning is very remote, very rare.
Very rare. And also, one of the things. Children have to be don't be afraid to ask questions.
That's another problem that most of the students have in classrooms. Is that a fear that they have? Maybe it is a big blunder they're going to make themselves. They're going to look absurd in public.
Self-doubt is self-destructive kind of a thing. It's like, we cannot have that.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. So, they feel like that sometimes is just like is this question, if I ask that, is it
is it relevant
or not relevant?
True.
They should ask questions.
Because that's a doubt for them.
So the classroom is for learning purpose. So you can always ask that. Even in our universities and academies as classroom, always have the freedom. Sir, teacher, master, excuse me, I have a small doubt. Can I ask this question during class or even the question time? You can ask that. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
So that's a question for that so-called candidate.
Exactly.
True.
That's you. Don't be afraid.
We always live in this kind of mentality where we are very concerned about the other party having a bad impression about us.
Exactly. And definitely your time management.
Very good point, yes, Doctor.
Time management is very important, and sometimes the children, they say we have been overloaded like that. As I said that, for students, they can't complain about that because you're full-time, you're prioritized.
That's their task.
That's your job. So you can't have so many things other than studies.
So no excuses.
Their job is not to earn for the family. Their job is nothing else other than studies. So you manage your time properly. You have 24 hours. So you plan your sleeping hours. You plan your study hours.
Leisure
hours. Your happiness hours. Everything. So it's very important. So also important, get to know your teacher very well.
Have that good connection with your teacher.
And get to know who's your teacher and get to know them very well.
The potential of the
teacher. So you can know their teacher very well. Then interact with them, get to know them, speak to them. So for that, you need to initiate questions. So they also get to know the student have some kind of a interest towards the subjects. The more you become a silent, they also just, have a different...
Because they feel that the student has already understood.
Yes.
And I think through the questions is where actually the teacher and the student understands one another even much more, because we figure out their weaknesses and their strengths.
Exactly. And the third point is like we can add more into this, like use your school library. And I don't know how many of them using the library. If I've been seeing the libraries have not been used. If you go and ask the librarian, school librarian, how many of you all go and borrowed books from your library? I mean, they can give the...
They can count it with their fingers.
And then none of the students. I think that should be the first point. Okay, go and see the school library and go and ask, that has to be the practice. Those days are the time when we are schooling, at that time the librarian come and ask, when did you come to the library last? So that practically you have to go and see the borrowing from the library and returning books also. That is a good practice.
So use these resources.
That's resources using. Those are that's a strategy.
And it's free.
And it's free also. When you go for a definition, I remember in your question when you asked me, you used a word called strategy. You used a word called strategy. The definition of a strategy itself is using resources.
Utilizing it.
The moment you utilize your resources itself is a strategy. So the student should know how to utilize their resources, existing resources. Who's the resources? Your teacher, your library, your classroom, and another point, your peers in the classes. You get to know them and you get to talk to them. If you have any doubts, speak to them and get to know from the person who understood the subject. So that's how you can
The networking also does have a huge impact.
This is how you grow your knowledge. And even we do that in your classroom in leisure time. The lecturer spoke about something. I couldn't get that 100%. Did you get it what he said? Yeah, I understood. Okay, could you please explain to me? Yes, so you get to know through your colleagues, sometimes your peers. Yeah, he said that. Yeah, now I understood what he said that.
It's like brainstorming a certain session as well,
right.
Through communication.
Through communication with your other peers and the groups and the friends also. So you get along in the group studies. So that's how you get into that practice.
Just keep building.
Keep building that process.
So much to talk because it's a very, very broad subject, but the time keeps ticking. And as we know, it was a very informative conversation, one would agree. And since considering a future goal, as in the sense of a career, is pretty challenging, and failures are anyway expected, but however, reapproaching a method to succeed is the key focus. Thank you so much, Dr. Nawaz, for taking this time off this Thursday morning to join us on 11th Hour.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. All the very best and really honored to have this chat with.